This is a case of a keratoconus patient who's 37-year-old female, and she was currently wearing scleral contact lenses, but needs to be refit. She needs new lenses, and so we were going to refit both of her eyes. These are her scleral elevation maps of both the right and left eyes. The red circles in the center represent her cornea, which we're going to ignore. So we're going to focus in on the colored maps around that red circle. And if we first look at her right scleral surface, we can see that there's these two sort of against the rule areas of blue coloring. And when we look at elevation maps, the blue colors or the cooler colors represent areas of increased sagittal height or steepness, and the warmer colors represent areas where it's a little bit flatter. And so this patient has really an against the rule scleral toricity for her right sclera. And we can, in fact, actually measure the amount of scleral toricity using the software. And it measures out at 250 microns of scleral toricity. And in fact, that's something interesting to note for that amount is that that's about average amount of scleral toricity that we might see for a keratoconus eye. Now, what's a little different is when we look at the elevation map of her left eye, we can see that the blue colors, the cooler colors, are really more uniform all the way around. In fact, we don't really see too much of a pattern. So in fact, actually, when we use software and measure this out, her left sclera actually has a spherical shape. So what's interesting about this patient is that although her keratoconus is very similar between the right and left eyes, her scleral shape is different. Her right scleral shape is toric, and her left scleral shape is spherical. For her right eye, I did fit her with a Europa Tangent 16.5 millimeter scleral contact lens. We needed just a little bit over 4,800 microns of sagittal depth to properly vault her corneal surface. And we can see that in the OCT image up and to the right. And of course, because her right sclera is toric, we did incorporate a toric landing zone design that, as you can see, really fits nicely and evenly on the bulbar conjunctival scleral surface without any compression or edge lift. And that's also highlighted on the OCT image that's down into the right there. We can see how soft that landing zone is. And with some nearsighted correction, she's able to see 20/30 with that right scleral contact lens. For her left eye, I also fit her with Europa Tangent design, 16.5 millimeters, almost the exact same amount of sag, for just a little over 4,800 microns. But for this patient's eye, because her scleral surface is spherical, we incorporated a spherical landing zone. And we really get the same nice, even fit without compression or edge lift, but with a spherical landing zone. And with -7 power, she's able to see 20/25. So this case highlights the fact that when you're doing a bilateral case, the landing zone designs aren't always the same. Oftentimes they are. Oftentimes they'll both be toric or they'll both be spherical, but make sure that you keep in mind that they can be different, like what we saw with this particular case.